their tactics play out in that.
Well, 92 riders on the start sheets in total today in the women's racing this morning, and a number of riders, as I was going through the start sheets this morning, not on the start line today. So which tells me, the growth of the women's race field has been absolutely fantastic, and some phenomenal riders we've got in here today. So Simone Francis, for example, leading this out from Nikki Lloyd, is in here as well. Helen Connell is in here. Carla Lenore. Sarasuk is here. Kirchner is here. Hyde is in this pack. There are some really, really strong riders in category 4. Al-Mansouri is back in the mix. And it's great to see riders mix. We've got some riders who ride and race the Sunday Race Cup nearly every weekend. They are what I would say called esports specialists. We've got other riders who mix it with outdoor programs, whether that be on the road, on the mountain bike, in triathlon, for example. And it's great to see those returning and coming back to the start line of the Sunday Race Club.
And of course, there's other parts of life that take precedence, family, for example, or, whether you've got lots of people going out and about. You've got, in the UK, I think half of the UK is down with a particularly nasty, coldy bug at the moment. And that means, people just can't race every single week, can they? And even if they are those specialists. So we do get that mix and that flow coming backwards and forwards. But every single week, it's not just it comes along, this series is just here for 3 or 4 days. We're here every single Sunday with some great racing in the women's and the men's races, equal prizes in the women's and men's races, and equal coverage in that as well, which is great to see.
Yeah, and also you can't expect top-end performances week in, week out continually, and that's why we see the performances of our riders wax and wane is the phrase I'm going to use today. So they come on and then they drop back. Depending upon what they're doing. We see movement in the peloton as well, so lots of movement. A qualifier race number 1 for 2024, so a lot of movement. So riders moving up from category 4 to category 3. Christina Arrayas has moved up this week, and it's fantastic to see that performance. So we've got movement from category 4 to category 3 and movement from category 3 to category 2 as well. So as they come up and down through their performances, it's fantastic to see. So whilst Johanna Warren puts in an attack in category 4, we're down in the start pen with category 3, waiting and ready to go. So Team Golden Light on the start sheet today, along with 24 riders. So a real mix. So mentioned previously, Christina Arrayas has gone up from category 4. Ella Vink has come back into category 3 from category 2. So that is going to be really interesting. But De Silva, Gentili, Giuliano, Weston, all on the start sheets today. From that top 5 in the final. Svardström, who took the win, well, she is not on the start sheets in category 3 today, but Barco is here, Lopez is here, Tan, Idzik, Tanglian. Away they go from the start pen today. It's a big field of 24 riders in category 3 as they swing out of the start pen and out onto the Belgium course.
Really interesting to see how this played out here today. So the riders are on the way. They are on the move. This is category 3. One thing I think with category 3, Emma, because it's that first step up from category 4, it's when people are starting, I think the ambition starts to come in at category 3 a little bit more.
I disagree.
A little bit more.
I disagree completely. Category 4, there is ambition, there is motivation, there is targets, there are tactics. every single category has got something about them. Category 3, I think, is often one of our biggest categories and our interesting categories because we've often got people who are progressing, people who are wanting to move up, but I'm not sure I would say it is the most interesting. But they all, for me, I think, have their own dynamic. So category 3, up and away, Giuliano is here. Marin Johnson, good to see Rebecca Johnson back in the is there too, as well as DeGracia and Weston.
So let's watch the riders taking this left-hand turn and making their way into Ghent City. So through the woodland we go, taking this left-hand turn, move here off the Jennytown are moving smoothly. And at the moment, this is a bit of a move to go away. We've not even hit the sprint here, Emma.
Well, 1.5 kilometres into this race, the first sprint, Ghent City sprint, doesn't come to the 2 kilometre mark, which is 400 metres up the road, but a concerted effort from Tan to lift the pace. It was a steady pace out of that start pen. And I think Tan really wants to get this show underway. So Tan, Idzik, Madeira, Barco, Marin, Vink, Weston, all in the front of this group. And there's a big stretch now coming.
So the riders that just made their way around that left-hand turn, making their way around the move there. It's certainly looking to me like as they go under this sprint, riders are feeling quite pushy. You know, we see this on this course, don't we? People really like to push in this first flat 6 kilometres before they come in and before they hit, because otherwise, when we hit the quarter here, which is the first big climb, they don't have an effort in the legs. If you just ride steady state, at race pace, and you don't put a big push in, you don't necessarily feel that. And I think that's what's happening here.
Yeah, you need to be warmed up, and some people like that final stretch of the legs in this first 6 kilometres. And we've seen this on other courses as well, where riders like to put in a sprint effort or a strong effort in the first 4 or 5 kilometres, because the main effort that comes, let's put it this way, the quarter here climb kicks to 17%.
Well, 17% is going to hurt. It's going to hurt whether you're category 4, 3, or category 2. Category 2, we have some great riders and our teams returning. The Grind My Gears are represented by Novelinka Conan. The Maniacs have Monica Rona, and the Sunday Crew. We've got Dana Davidson, Jenny Daniel, Joanna Zimmerman, and Linda Sarmiento Martinez as well. But it's a big pack, isn't it? It's our biggest race field, I think.
It is our biggest race field today. 25 riders on the start sheets today. Smithers, Sanchez, Howell, and McAlpine, Montoya, Walkenhurst, Montgomery, Prado, Ospina, Embring. We could keep going because this is a big race field and a really strong race field too. So our category 2 riders completing their warm-up. They are away now on the Sunday Race Club. We're in with Lam Kong at the moment. Now, she has come down from category 1, and so has Lisa Hermansen. And that is about this movement between the different categories. Riders can go up as well as come down. And we ensure like-for-like racing depending upon the performances. So 25 riders here in category 2. They are up, they are out, they are motoring, and the pace is up now. And they are moving strongly. 35 kilometres of racing to complete.
And with this being a big race field, there's lots of draft, lots of speed, and lots of pace.
It is indeed, and you can see we are in with Lam Kong still at the moment. Her numbers, for those of you who are new to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, if you take a look at the screen on the top middle part of the screen, you will see the information on the rider we are watching. So Lam Kong at the moment currently at 212 watts, fluctuating there quite strongly, but she is in a green. Now the green indicating that she is in the pack and taking the draft. When those numbers are white, it indicates that the draft is not operational for the rider. The time elapsed, the individual's heart rate and their cadence, so 96 revs per minute from Lam Kong at the moment, so a nice high strong cadence.
So the riders cadence their pedal revs, that smoothness, that souplesse is really important, isn't it? Particularly once we go into the hills. Here, you could sit and churn a big gear as long as people didn't vary their speed. When the speed varies from the riders, that's when you need to be able to react. And if you've got a higher rev, you can actually higher rev range, you've got more reaction. It's easier to spin up because if you need to put 2 or 3 extra revs per minute on, 2 or 3 extra revs per minute in 120 is a lot better than trying to put 2 or 3, it's a higher percentage of, say, 60 revs per minute. So basically, the faster the rev, the easier it is, although it does rely on more fitness and not necessarily the same amount of strength.
Indeed. So Marcel Smithers in the pack, the pace currently moving at around 2.4, 2.5 watts per kilo. So nice and steady, this group at the moment. The heart rates indicate that as well. But taking a quick look over to the right-hand side of the screen, well, this is the category 4 race group. They started first. They started and are well and truly underway now. Well, we know that because they're at 6.7 kilometres into this race and they are on the Kortekeer climb. Now, the Kortekeer used for the first time in the Tour of Flanders in 1988. And the first section of this climb kicks to over 17%.
Yep, 17% on the Kortekeer. Now, the way that the Belgian climbs, the Meurs, the wall, because that's what Meur means. It means wall. These are very much not steady state gradient climbs for the Kortekeer, but the rest of them are because they're basically going up the same bank, the same ridge in Belgium. It's the same area, the northern Flanders area of Belgium, and it's very, very similar geography, isn't it? So you go in, it's just incredibly steep, but it does vary. And the Kortekeer, I think, because it comes first, really does shake. It's the real first selection point. It's the summit of part 1 of the climb. The second selection point, the summit of part 2.
Well, we have multiple selection points today, I tell you, but that first climb it's the steepest section of all the climbing, and it comes on that first climb today. Well, sat in the start pens awaiting that climb, and the others that are going to face them are the Category 1 riders. With 50 seconds to go, this is a strong race field today, Matt.
It is a strong race field. We have the coalition, the composite team. Amelia Veld, Lou Bates, with Dana Degum and Shandy. What a team.
It's
The
a good one.
Fetto Skier team, Roberta Bassoni and Sophie Giovanni. Then we've got the Risky Biscuits, Chiara Donny, Catherine Fuhr, Marlene Bjarhead, and Mina Koinsonen. And a big field of very, very strong riders, and I think none of which can be discounted from taking the win.
Well, it was the Risky Biscuits who took the win in the team competition in the final last year. But 20 riders on the start sheets and some really strong ones on top of those teams. Menezes is here, Giannatti has come up, so has Svardström. Svardström has come up from Cat 2. Van Hove is here today, and Bruni, the German time trial specialist, is in this pack as well as Lou Bates as we sit in with as she goes out the start pen. Now, Lou Bates joined us in December. Qualifier number 4 was her first race on the Sunday Race Club, and she absolutely dominated that. Now, not qualifying for the final because she only had the one verified completed race in December because she joined us in that last qualification. So looking forward to seeing what she can do this month, assuming because she's here for Q1, she's going to be up for qualification for that final.
So the turn, this left-hand turn, moving around the corner. They are going to be taking this out all the way to the line, but this first 6K, the bunch really starting to find their feet. Now, the riders in here, you were telling us about that domination really of Lou Bates. I mean, we saw her looking very, very strongly. She is an absolutely class rider, isn't she, Lou Bates? And we know that she's going to be strong on a big climb. We've seen that. We know that she can deal with the steep gradients, but we've got some really good climbers in here that are specialists more of a longer climb. And that makes it difficult today for them, doesn't it, with the different gradients?
Yeah, what is really interesting, I think, from Belgium, the riders in this the riders in all the cats are strong, but the women in this Category 1 race are strong and very equally matched. They are phenomenal riders. These, whilst they are steep climbs, they are short climbs. The effort is not long. And hence what we tend to see, particularly in this Category 1 race, is that the riders are able to stay together with those repeated shorter efforts rather than, say, for example, the 18 or 19 minute length climb. So we do tend to see in Belgium, and we did indeed, last time we were on this Belgium course with the women was Qualifier 2 in December. And it went down to a 5-up sprint.
A 5-up sprint, and that is a very difficult sprint because it's not 1 or 2 easy to watch. It's not a mass of riders where you basically just have to do your own thing and hope that you are the fastest. And on this course, timing is critical, isn't it? Timing to push through into the climbs, timings over the top, when to push over the top, and the timing when to launch your last sprint on the run into the finish. The finish here, I think, is one of the most difficult finishes for the rider. I say that pretty much every week, but it's tricky. It's not the easiest to get the timing right as you come in and around that right-hand bend. You can't see it till the last second.
Well, and you know what? We had Fua, Columbi, Menendez, Manshandi and Coinston were the 5 riders who went into the sprint in Qualifier 2 last time we were here in Belgium. Now, any one of those riders can win, and any one of those riders has won. There are other riders in this pack today who have also taken the win recently. So I think this is going to be a well-contested race today in Belgium.
I think it is. We're coming into our first sprint now. For those of you who are new to the show, new to the Sunday Race Club, our sprints and our mountains that we go up that are categorized at the mountain sections, they are subject to a competition of their own. Those are the sprints and the mountains competition. There is an award of a green skin suit and a polka dot skin suit for the rider who amasses the most points in their category in that competition. Now, that doesn't mean that there's any prize money. It is quite literally for bragging rights. But what it does allow us is a snapshot on the riders as they make the way in through the racing. Now, at the moment we're with Category 1, they are just going through that first sprint. They've come through what is a Ghent City sprint. And that means that in the Ghent City sprint, we can see when we look at the screen that the Category 1 riders are not moving that fast. Amelia Van Hove, the only Category 1 rider to trouble the top 9.
Yeah, so taking a little look through here, it is indeed the Category 3 pack who went through at pretty much the same pace that the Category 1 pack went through that section. So Molly Weston taking the fastest time at 26.4 seconds, Myra Madeira in 2, Gina De Gracia in 3, Alejandro Jamilo in 4, Amy Marin in 5, Amelia Van Hove, the Category 1 rider in 6th. Now, if I scroll back down through the results, Category 3, Category 2 and Category 4, well, they were pretty much moving at the same rate as well.
So very similar as they came in towards the climb. But as we go on to the Courtier, Category 3 already looking very strong on the initial sections of this climb. This is part 1 of the 2-stage climb. And already Tatiana Ochoa looking like she's trying to stretch this group out, squeezing on those pedals and setting a pace that at the moment It's provoking a little bit of reaction, but I think nobody wants to go quite this hard this early.
Well, and if you take a look on the bottom left-hand side of the screen, you will see the blue jerseys well and truly now working their way through the red jerseys of the Category 4 race field. But you can see the Category 4 further up the climb as well. Now, our Category 3 riders started 5 minutes behind our Category 4 riders, who were the first riders away on the Sunday Race Club today. Category 2 started 5 minutes later, and Category 1, they were the last riders on the road to go.
They were indeed. So we are in with Category 3. Looking good. A really good move by Tatiana Ochoa. We've got Alessandra at the moment just trying to chase it, come across the gap. Now comes the bunch over the top. Looking good. They've got Molly Weston in that green skin suit tucked in with this group. It's looking very, very good at the moment as they keep on moving. So let's just keep our eyes on them as they go down here. It's looking good at the moment for this group in terms of it being competitive. They are breaking riders off the back here, Emma. 1 or 2 riders distance. We can see that on that satellite navigation view. Bottom left-hand side of all 4 screens, you can see where those riders are being distanced and the group's fractured. The only one that doesn't have a fracture at the moment is a Category 1 in yellow. Category 4, however, well, the leaders are over the top of the Cortakia. Category 3 are on the way up there between Part 1 and Part 2 of the Cortakia. Category 2 are on Stage 1, Part 1, and that is also looking pretty fractured and broken. And Category 1, well, they're still on the nice flat bit. I know where I'd want to be.
Well, that's the reason that group is still together, Matt, because they haven't got to those slopes of the Cortakia yet. And it's interesting to see, however, even though those other packs were split, there are still some significant sized groups at the front. So it's looking as though that climb is taking riders out the back rather than creating a big gap off the front. So Fua here at the front of this Category 1 pack with Kalman, with Manshandy. Lou Bates is there as well. So's Bassoni. Van Hove is there too. These riders all comfortably in that pack.
And when we look at these riders coming through here, it looks easy in one group, doesn't it? But actually, well, it does. It looks just riding along. There's nothing. There's no fracturing. It's not because it doesn't look dynamic. This is actually a big skill, isn't it? There's a real skill in there.
This is a really steady pace for these Category 1 riders. They're rolling around 2.5 to 3 watts per kilo. It is a comfortable pace. We're in with Catherine Furr at the moment. Her heart rate's about 138, 139, really signifying to us that that is a comfortable, steady state. They are moving through the early stages of this course, and this race has not really been lit up yet.
It's not, but what I'm trying to say, I'm not sure I'm really putting it in words very well here.
Let's ask
the skill level here to sit and recover, to not just snowball through the front and go off the front, to not get dropped off the back. That is a real skill, isn't it?
To sit in the pack, to understand the draft dynamics, and to really be comfortable in that pack. And as you say, Matt, not snowball over the front, not come off the back, and to really be able to modulate the power on the pedals to enable to stay tightly in the group and take the benefit of that draft is indeed a skill. It is a technique, and you do have to learn it, and it does take time. And often we hear of people's frustration. Oh, I can't get hold of the draft. I can't sit in the group. I can't stay there. That's because you have to work at it. You can't go out on your mountain bike and do a bunny hop within a week. You have to work on it. You have to practice. You know, kids,
it is a technique, yeah.
100%. It's a technique. It's a skill you have to learn, and you just have to get on the bike and learn it.
So as Category 1 make the way in, hopefully they've got that learning, that skill dialed. I'm sure they have. They are our top level. They are the riders at the top of the tree, but categories 1, 2, 3, and 4 spread from the far side of the Cortakia to the base of the Cortakia, which is where our Category 1 riders are approaching. The first of the climbs are on their way. Before we dive on there is indeed Category 1 onto the climb, and look at the left-hand side of the screen. There are red and yellow chevrons all over the place in Category 1. Here they go. They are on the way up the climb, and this is going to get tough. They are really starting to rip this up, Emma. We are seeing 6 watts per kilo coming out from our Category 1 riders on the base of this climb, and it's not breaking them, it's not fracturing them that much.
Well, we said there was strength and depth in that race field, and they are absolutely showing that. In fact, take a look, Matt, the strength and depth in all of the race fields. And this is where putting the like with like together really plays through. So the strength and depth in Category 1 is absolutely there. We're currently at 6.4% gradient at the moment. It will get steeper towards the top of the climb, but at the moment, this is not challenging those riders. And like we mentioned, I don't think this climb, because of the length of it, is going to cause a huge problem to the, I'm going to be really specific here, to the front of this race field. But we might see, and what I think we're going to see, is back markers on this pack start to drop. So Bates, Fua, Veltman, Shandy, all at the front, and it's Fua and Bates who are pushing on. Now, that is no surprise.
It's not, is it? They are really starting to open up the gap. We know Catherine Fur has been working really hard on her climbing. We say that was 6 months ago almost now, and it's paid off in spades because she's up there on the front on the long climbs, but she still seems to retain that sprint strength almost that you need for these shorter climbs as well. We're just starting to see the gradient easing off to sub 8% as we go over the top, and this is where the gap between the riders should extend, but this is the top of part 1. Left hand side of your screen, down at the bottom there, you can see the satellite navigation, that radar view with the yellow discs. Those yellow discs represent the riders, and as you can see, we're starting to get a gap open. We're starting to see a break of 2 different groups there. The group on your screen, this is all part of Group 1, including those 2 riders on the front. So there's a big split further back.
There is indeed, and we said this is what was likely to happen, that the split would come towards the back of the group, not necessarily towards the front. And whilst Fura and Bates pushed on early, the rest of the riders have now picked up the pace as the gradient has come down over the top. They are ensuring that they are not too far back, because the push here can get the momentum going on the downhill. We talked about the tactic of drafting, the skill of drafting earlier. There is also a real skill in understanding momentum and gradient change as well, and where to put the power in. Most people assume you go over the top. You take a deep breath because you know what? You've got to the top of the climb. But those riders who kick up and over the top and onto the descent, the momentum and the pace picks up quicker. And understanding that and utilising that in a race to your advantage is absolutely key.
And we say it's something that you have to learn. Some people do that and they analyse it and they will think about that. Other people, it's instinctive. So don't think, I don't have a degree in aerodynamics, I don't understand physics, I'm not going to know this. Some people just do it by feel. It's literally instinctive. You don't need to sit and study it. You need to be able to do it. And a lot of people, for them, it's just getting on and doing it. It's a bit like some people can coach because they can put into words what's happening and then illustrate that and demonstrate that, and other people can't. They might be great riders. We just saw category riders, category 4, just going through the Thistlehoven Mullen sprint. So they've dropped down off the far side of the climb. You cast your mind back to the profile at the start of the show. Over the top of the Cortakia climb, we dropped down towards our second sprint.
Well, and it was indeed Hyde and Lloyd who had a breakaway in Category 4, and that was working well for them. This is Category 1, and I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 riders by the look of that, clear and at the front of this group. I'm just going to do another little bit of maths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, might be 9. I think that is 9 riders by the look of that, clear and away after the Cortakia climb. Well, the first part, we're not right at the top yet.
So here we go on to part 2. That break that we saw has opened up. We are starting to see those splits develop. We're starting to see riders suffer. And we're starting to see riders struggle to stay with the leader's pace. The lead group at the moment have just dropped 1 rider off the back of that lead group as the pressure goes on from Catherine Fua. You can see behind that there are riders distanced at the back. There's a big pack starting to make the way towards the bottom of part 2. But at the very front, Fua, Bates, Coincident, taking with Shandy Columbi in here. Mina Coincident is really, really looking good. The last couple of races, she really has shown that she means business. I think she's been working on some recovery, I think, from injury or similar. At the moment, doing some strength work and some balance work, trying to make sure she's got the stability on the bike. That stability, when you're on the bike, your core is really important, isn't it?
Yeah, well, if we remember, Koivunen, world-class triathlete, absolutely flying this summer on the Sunday Race Club and in real life, and did indeed have an accident, and then has come back and utilised this as recovery. And we've seen her come back into form over the last few weeks. So it was great to have Mina Koivunen back and absolutely moving. She's taken the win in the December final, and it was fantastic to see her and that return to form. So Koivunen back and working well. Manshandi, Busoni, Columbi, Bates in here. Josina Menendez is just 1 second back of the group, so she is the rider on the back of this group. Amelia Velt, interestingly, has not made the selection.
No, so Velt not making the selection. 13 seconds down as to go around that left-hand turn. As you can see, these are the first 8 of the riders through, beating the time of Lam Kong, who was the fastest rider up there with an 8:09, nearly 8 minutes 10 seconds. No bar fractions, but now as we see Velt go through, knock off that time and going into ninth place, you can see the time difference between them. The gap between Menendez and Velt is substantial.
It is indeed. Well, Catherine Fuhr taking the fastest time up there in 7 minutes 29 seconds. Busoni, Bruni, Columbi, Koivunen, Manshandi, Bates, Menendez, and Velt. 2 seconds separating the top 8. Velt 23 seconds back on that climb. So it is Busoni, Columbi, Manshandi, Menendez, Fuhr, Bates in here. Now working their way through some of the back markers in the Category 3 race, and the rider they can see in front of them, that is one of the Category 2 riders. So working their way through the back markers of the other race fields.
And I think that is going to be Barragan that they're going to see first. They're going to have a lot longer to wait until they are up with Georgina Hyde and Nikki Lloyd, who are a lot further down the road here. 39 seconds, nearly 40 seconds, separating our 2 breakaway riders. I love a good breakaway. Always love it when I'm watching wherever we are, whatever type of discipline it is, whether it's the cyclocross, the road, the track, or here on esports. So on MyWhoosh, 2 riders clear. Lloyd, Hyde got to work together now. They've got the gap. They're going to need to make the most of this. They're on their way at the moment into their next climb. This is the start of the Valkenburg climb. As they go underneath that polka dot banner, the Valkenburg climb is a climb which is going to be 1.3 kilometers long, gaining as they go up there. A substantial 55 meters. Doesn't sound much, does it, when we talk about hundreds of meters to climb? But it's not all about quantity. It's about quality. And the quality of the Flandrian climbs is right up there. They are like little diamonds rather than big house bricks of climbs.
Interestingly, when we were in Belgium last time, or when the women were in Belgium last time, Hyde and Lloyd were first and second. Araya, Sonnerson and Sarasuk rounded out the top 5, but Hyde indeed broke away from the rest of the race field. This was the only race field that did not come down to a sprint, and that was Category 4, because Georgina Hyde broke away. So she took the win from Lloyd. Now, interestingly, Lloyd and Hyde both now have a 45-second gap clear of what looks like a chasing group of 4. Then we've got Bogren around 10 seconds back. Warren and the rest of the group now over a minute.
So big gaps opening up behind. The breaks are happening in Category 4. In Category 3, these are the next riders. They are making the way along at the moment. They're at 16.9 kilometers. So they are basically on the run between the Thistlehoven-Molden sprint, the windmill sprint, and heading in towards the Valkenburg Category 1. Well, they are just over the top of the Kortke and on the way through towards the Thistlehoven-Molden sprint.
So as we look at category 1, now picking up other jersey wearers. So one of our category 3 riders, one of our category 2 riders. At the moment, I'm looking at that. Our category 3 rider is desperately trying to stay in there.
Come on, Rona.
Rowan Tanglian is trying to desperately stay in that group. And the reason she's trying to stay there is to take the benefit of the draft. Our category 2 rider, who they have picked up, has been able to move with them. That indeed is Rosalina Barragan. So she's tucked nicely into that group and making the benefit of the draft. Our category 3 rider not able to do that.
And that's the difference. The power, the pace, the speed which a group comes through. You've got to be so switched on to jump on, move, get in there and grab it. It's really, really hard now. Mixed race categories on the top of the Thistlehover-Molen sprint as they came through. We saw Sunny Velt and Giovanni the fastest initially going through there, but we're now starting to see a real mix as Anna Schwarstrom just goes through. Now, she's only just appeared on that leaderboard. She's gone to the top. This is a live leaderboard. Remember, the times are live as the riders go through. Great illustration. Schwarstrom chasing, having to work hard on the flat to try and pull the group in front back. The group in front going maybe just a little bit slower here as they come through because they can save their energy. They've already got the gap in there. They're using their energy just to wait. And you can see here, Schwarstrom chasing the group of Bjarhead, of Hove, as well as London at the moment. She's 3 seconds off the back of this group. She wants to be in there, doesn't she?
To that group. Now, this is the chase group on the road. This is not the lead group on the road that she is chasing. You can just see on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, the leading group has gone round that right-hand bend above. But Svalstrom doing a phenomenal job here to get on. Now, let's just remember, she has come up from category 2 today. She took the win in category 2 in the December final. That has allowed her, or meant that she has progressed to category 1, and that effort from her, phenomenal effort from Svardstrom there to get back on to that group. So now comfortably in the group. The leading group, well, they are 45 seconds down the road.
So the leading group on the right-hand side of your screen, the chasing group on the left-hand side of your screen, separated by 500 meters on the course at the moment as they make their way down along this flatter section. They've gone past the Thistlehover-Molen, the windmill sprint. They are heading towards the next climb. This is the Valkenburg. We saw our riders making their way onto that climb in category 4, but at the moment, the riders are making their way over towards the top of that climb. Now, they are going to be the riders in Category 4 and Category 3 because they're not separated by all that much on the road in terms of the big bunches. The leaders of Category 4 here, Molly Weston, looks like she's right up there with De Grazia and Lopez, but behind, I don't think they're that far behind, are they, Emma?
No, so this is the Category 3 leading group at the moment. Molly Weston has pushed on. Gina De Grazia is here. Geraldo is here. This is looking like a big Category 3 leading group at the moment, even though they are on this climb. This is the Valkenburg climb, and it's still a big group. You're right, Matt. They are well and truly working their way through that Category 4 race field. But those Category 4 leaders, they are still down the road. There's a few of them in between. Yep. So there are still, look at that. In fact, that is a beautiful graphic. Take a look at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen.
It's great, isn't it?
That tells you exactly what I was about to try and say. I don't need to say it. You can see it.
A picture says 1,000 words, and in this case, it illustrates that we have 5 sets of riders on the front of the race on the road from Category 4, followed by our Category 3 leaders. Weston again really is doing a good job of squeezing on here. She's got, along with Tatiana Ochoa. Ochoa was strong at the start of this race. She's still riding strongly now. So is Molly Weston. If you look behind you, you can see that all of these riders in Category 3, they want to be right up there.
Pack.
Yeah, Jara Millo, she has been right near the front of the pack as well, most of the way through here. And I think this group they're on a bit of a mission, really. They really want to keep the pace high on the climbs without it exploding yet, because we've got a long way to go. It's 35 kilometers of racing here today, and for all of our categories, they have got to pick when they go. Just time trialing off the front is very, very difficult in this because of the climbs, because of the change in terrain, and because we have multiple groups on the road. If you're new to the Sunday Race Club, 4 race starts, 5 minutes between categories 4 and 3, 5 minutes between 3 and 2, 5 minutes between 2 and 1. All the groups can catch each other and draft from each other.
Well, at the moment, we've got 2 riders clear in category 4, around 13 riders in the leading group in category 3, 6 clear in category 2, and a leading group of 8 in category 1.
So 4 categories, 4 different races, all racing the same parcours, all racing the same distance and the same elevation, all able to draft off each other. And as the faster categories catch the categories in front, who set off in front, they are able then to utilize the draft of the riders they're catching for a little while. And if the riders are strong enough, the riders in the categories who are the riders being caught can jump in with the catchers and hitch a lift, catch a lift all the way into the finish. But you've got to be strong, because when we hit the climbs, that is when it's much harder to stay with a higher ability rider. We've all been there, and we all know just how tough that is.
Well, I'm just going to run through the riders in that category 3 group. Ochoa, Giraldo, Weston, Idzik, Giuliano, Johnson, Gracia, Vink, Lopez, Araya, Lytton, and she says, I'm just having a little look because one of my riders.
Just talk amongst yourselves. Folks.
Yeah, talking is Jeremilo.
There we go. Confident?
Yes, I just had to do a little double
check. I love the. It's I've found
just
somebody
had to
new.
do a little check.
It's this is what we love
there
about
she
esports.
is. Take a look at that.
Now, if this was not esports, we wouldn't have all this data, we wouldn't have all this information. It's one of the great things we love about riding on MyWhoosh and about racing, as well as commentating on there. Emma and myself ride and really get out and try and get the kilometres in. We are out there. We don't ride as fast as the guys on here, generally, but what we do is do the same thing. We're looking at the data. We're looking, if you're in this group, if you are Tatiana Ochoa at the moment in that polka dot skin suit at the front, currently with a gap of 5 seconds, going to be looking up the road thinking, 2 riders up there, I could jump on. That's going to give me some assistance. So Leonor in here, same position. You also have, along with that, Naves in there as well.
Oh, they strong rider.
And she could jump in with Naves. She's thinking, yeah, I'm going to get in with these 2. This is going to help. We're on a descent. We're going to get more draft. It's going to help me. Behind, they are not responding. You can see by the numbers that there is no response coming from this group. They're reliant at the moment, I think, on the volume of riders to bring it back and then the next flat section.
Well, this is really interesting, isn't it? Because the category 4 riders are about to get caught by these category 3 riders. We've got a question as to whether they're going to be able to pick up the pace and stay with them and take a tow at the moment. It's a good opportunity. They've been caught at a good point in the parkour. This is a flat section at 21.7 kilometers. The next climb does not come till 24.2. So this category 3 large group catching these 2 back, well, I mean, they're not right back markers, but they are not with the front group of category 4 race field, but now very well tucked into that category 3 group and taking the tow and taking the draft and moving up in the race because of it. Now, dropping in with our category 1 riders, they are at 18.5 kilometers into this race. They are on the Valkenburg at the moment. It was a group of 8 going in, still a group of 8 tapping it out together.
So 8 riders on to the climb at the front of the category 1 race field, working the way past categories 4, 3 and 2. Now, there are riders of all abilities, all categories that are being passed by the express train, leading the category 1 race out.
Well, I'll tell you what's really interesting here, Matt, is that Amelia Velt was off the back of this group last time. This group looks actually now to be 9 strong. Velt catching back up onto this pack.
But, I'm going to put in a really big but. If you get distanced on climb 1, the odds are you're going to get distance on climbs 2, 3, and 4. If you're not a new rider, and I'm caveating that because the timing to kick, when to kick, is very, very difficult to choose, irrespective of what discipline you're on or where you are, because it's all about making sure you can get on board and put the power down at the right time. We're currently in with Amelia Velt at the moment as we ride through this group. You can see her stats at the top center of your screen. You can see at the moment really working hard.
Well, I'll tell you what's really interesting.
189 beats per minute.
I tell you what's really interesting is if you look at the bottom left-hand side of your screen, that Category 1 pack that was well and truly split by the end of the quarter Keir climb, the chasing groups are much closer together further back down the road.
And we would see that normally. We'd expect that if the leaders were on the climb and the chasers weren't. But judging by the graphic there, they're all on the climb. It does bring the gaps down, the physical distance down, but it does look like they are starting to come back together. This is Menezes. Look at this. Sorry, Emma. Look at this. 15 seconds from Menezes to the leaders in front, behind, 13 seconds behind. So we're only talking 30 seconds from the leaders to the big chasing group behind.
Yeah, and what that says is the leaders took a recovery after that climb, after the effort they put in. The riders behind continued to move. They were in packs, they were in groups. It enabled them to motor and to close those gaps down. So those gaps coming down nicely. Now, at the front of the race field is a strong group. As you can see, the polka dot banner there at 19.5 kilometres. Well, that's the top of the Valkenburg climb. So Amelia van Hove goes over with Jacina Menezes, Velt, Koinstein Fua, Bruni, Columbi, Bassoni, Batesman, Shandy, Cassani, and Jovi round out the top 10. 2 minutes 42 from Velt.
The leading group there, very interestingly, are the front group on the climb. So the work being done on the flat and the downhill by the chasers, the fastest time going over the climb at the moment as they make their way through the lake on top of the Valkenburg, in between the water, the fastest time being set by the leading group. Now, remember, that's live, so that can change, and it may well be that some of these chasers who are working their way from behind then set a faster time up the Valkenburg after this leading group have gone into the descent. But at the moment, it's not looking that way. It's still looking like they have set that fastest time up there, even though the chasers, I think, have now made it over the top. So we have got a real race on with the front of the Category 1 race. Yo-Yo in front and back, going backwards and forwards. In Category 2 in the green, we have Lisa Hermansen, Monica Rona, Anna Embring, Angel Hadlock in there, Lam Kong in that polka dot skin suit of the fastest time up at the climbs in that climbs points competition. Jenny Daniel, who you saw the start of the show in the rewinds, looking like she's really in the mix and really wants to take this out. They are making the way down the flat section here, and if I get my distances correct, I think, Emma, we're heading into two climbs that come in very quick succession.
They are
the
indeed.
End of this long flat section. We've got a flat section into the Eichenberg Hill.
And that is the polka dot banner indicating the start of the Eichenberg Hill. They go up. This is a 1.4 kilometre climb with an average gradient of 4.3%. They drop over the top. It's a rolling top, and I'm going to say that, and you'll see why in a moment. They drop down the other side, then they transition very, very quickly into the Eichenberg climb, which has a much more of a pinnacle top. You can see that here when we bring the map back up. This is the course the riders are on at the moment. You can see our little rider. There we go, up and over the Eichenberg Hill and the Eichenberg climb. A much more rounded top on the first time, a much more sharper descent on the second. Now, that is key when it comes to momentum and pace that we were talking about earlier on, in that transition from the climb to the descent. Absolutely crucial, particularly on that second descent. Now, that second climb at 1.6 kilometres with an average gradient of 4.7%. Then, from the top of the Eichenberg climb, it's a 6 kilometre run to the finish.
It is 6K run to the finish where a group will have the advantage. But for the climbers, really critical here. And this is where cadence pays in. This is where Souplesse being able to move through the cadence to raise and lower very fast is going to play out. Eichenberg Hill, followed by the Eichenberg climb. Absolutely critical part. It doesn't look anywhere near as big as the Cortakia, but the closer that you get to the finish, anyone who has raced, whether it is in esports, whether it's on mountain bike, whether it is on the road, will tell you the closer to the finish, the more important those hills, the ascents are going to be.
Well, I can tell you there are 2 riders so far over the Eichenberg Hill, and that is Hyde and Lloyd are 2 leaders in that Category 4 race. This is the Category 3 race. Molly Weston leading this out, also on the Eichenberg Hill at the moment. She's leading out Rebecca Johnson, who is the rider in blue behind her, and they are 50 seconds behind the top 8 in the Category 4 race. So that Category 3 race really winding itself up. It's still a big group out front. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see that is Georgina Hyde. She has broken clear of Nikki Lloyd in that Category 4 race. 10 seconds clear.
So here we go. Molly Weston leading out the race here. We've got Johnson behind. It looks to me like, sorry, it's not Johnson. He's going to be alongside pretty much. So we're just taking a little bit of a check. No, Johnson, I think, is just in with that chase group there. So looking at this, it's going to be very interesting as they all start coming in together. So I think Johnson has hitched a lift here with the group. You can see her in the middle in the chasing group. So we have Weston leading. We've got Hermanson, Emberg, Rona and Kong all working behind in Category 2.
Yeah, so the Category 2 leading pack has caught this Category 3 pack. They are motoring here together, and it is all bringing this back together in this Category 3 race as they've gone up and over the top of the Eichenberg Hill.
It's a confusion of Category 2 with Category 3. They're mixed together here. You can see Category 2 in here, Category 3 in here, working together. They are now over the top. They've got to work fast, and that group has to form. If you're in the back of this group, you need to get on board, and you need to get on board now. Behind, the chase is on. They have to work to bring this group back very quickly because we're going over the top. We're into the descent here, and at the bottom it's about keeping that pace. If you push through the bottom, the next climb, the Eichenberg climb, comes quick. It's very, very fast. You can take the pace, but if you back off between the two, it's long enough that you will lose all your speed and get caught back very quickly. So Category 2 leaders, along with Category 3 chasing the Category 4, the Category 2 and 3 on the descent between the two climbs. But at the start of the Eichenberg Hill, it's Category 1.
So our Category 1 riders move in. They go past some of the back markers in the Category 2 races. They head towards this climb. Now, 10 riders in this leading group. It has got bigger, not smaller. The original break has been caught by a number of riders, and it has swelled the ranks of this leading group. So Coinston leading them out with Columbi. They are pushing on and up the climb. The response coming from behind, but a stretch already starting to form on this group.
And this is where Helen Cadal, who's done a great job of jumping in with the group on the flat section, running in from the Valkenburg to the Eichenberg Hill, is going to find it very difficult to stay with this group of Category 1 leaders, because they kick up here. You can see the numbers on the right-hand side of your screen. We are just in with Mina Coinston, 5.5 watts per kilo, heading at 4.6 at the moment. I'm seeing 6.2, 6.6, 7.1 there from Sophie Giovanni as they go on to the climb. And those are the kind of numbers that for a Category 3 or 4 rider, it's going to be incredibly hard to live with.
Wow, just beyond them. But taking a look at the bottom left-hand screen, it's an absolute melee on the climb of colour. We've got red jerseys from Category 4, blue jerseys from Category 3, green jerseys from Category 2, and the yellow jerseys from Category 1. This is is the leading group in Category 1. It is still a significant number of riders, 10 riders in this leading group, and they are moving towards the top of the Eichenberg Hill.
And that point about the rolling summit there, you could see that on the top right-hand side of the screen is going over. This is a rolling summit. That means that you can pick the pace up steadily over the top. It's not a knife-edge summit like you will find on the Eichenberg climb. The Eichenberg climb, well, the summit of that is at 29 kilometers on the right-hand side of your screen. At the bottom, you can see that Georgina Hyde at the moment is the sole leader in Category 4. She's clear by 11 seconds from Nikki Lloyd, but they have nearly 2 minutes from Simone Francis, Prado, Manson and Co. In fact, they've been caught. The chasers have been caught, haven't they? So it is now Hermansen in Category 2, who is the nearest rider to Nikki Lloyd and Georgina Hyde. Category 2 on the left-hand side of your screen. Category 4 leader Hyde on the right-hand side of your screen. You can see by the profile, top right-hand side, they're coming up the same climb.
500 metres. 500 metres behind. It is absolutely nothing. And the question is, will when Lloyd gets picked up, at the point she gets picked up, will that bring her back to Hyde?
And here's another question for you. Given that Category 1 are only just starting on the Eichenberg Hill and the leaders of Category 4 are on the Eichenberg climb, can the Category 1 leaders pull back the Category 4 leaders, given that that gap is round about the 2-minute mark?
Well, it is around 2 minutes, and it's just over 2.5 kilometres as well. So Velt, Bruni, Bates, Koisnen, Bassoni, Fuhrman, Nenzes, Manshandi and Columbi setting the fastest time up the Eichenberg Hill, 2 minutes 54 seconds. And take a look at that, just 1 second separating those 9 riders. In fact, it's 10 riders in that leading group in that Category 1 race.
Yep, so I think the rider not shown was Sophie Giovanni.
It is indeed.
The 10th rider of that group. And they're over the top and on to the side. Bassoni and Giovanni riding for the same squad here today, the Affetto Skiath squad, and making the way over the top of the Eichenberg Hill. Right-hand side of your screen, these are the Category 2 leaders. They're the chasers on the road. The Category 2 leaders chasing the Category 4 leaders. The nearest rider to them in front is Nikki Lloyd, who's currently a sub 30 seconds and sub 1 minute now. Between Paredo and the very front of the race, it is your race leader, Georgina Hyde, who is being pulled back by this very strong Category 2 leading group. They have broken the field over the race course, across the fields, across the hillsides, across the Meuse and the walls of Belgium as they head in towards the summit of the final climb. Then it's that 6K run for the finish.
Well, 4 riders clear in this Category 1 race. Hermansen, Kong, Embring and Prado going underneath the banner signifying the top of the Eichenberg climb. They've got Molly Weston with them. They've caught Weston at an appropriate time for Weston.
Yeah.
Just literally right at the top of the climb. It's now a 6-kilometre run to the finish. It's downhill and flat. Molly Weston is going to have to work her socks off to stay with them if she wants to take a benefit of any draft. Can she stay in there? She is working now. She is a Category 3 rider, but she is wearing the green skin suit because he's also the sprint leader of the sprint competition in the Category 3 race.
This is where Molly Weston has to focus. She's got to stay really smart here. She's actually gone off the front of that group. Yeah. She pushed to get on. She went through with the draft. They then hit the bottom and she's carried the most momentum through. But what she needs to do now is just ease a little bit because the group behind will come up to her and she needs to have that kick ready and engage it early enough to go with them.
Well, to be honest, have the group behind realise that it's a Category 3 rider off the front, not a Category 2 rider because she is in green. Yeah. This is the Category 1 race. They are the only riders not at the top of the final climb and not on that 6-kilometre run into the finish. This is the final climb for them. This is the Eichenberg climb, 1.6 kilometres, 4.7% average gradient, and look at the stretch on that group. It was 10 riders at the base of this climb. It's Lou Bates putting the damage down, Mina Coinston, Catherine Fua, Mandega Manshandi is in there as well. They are continuing to motor, but the pace is hot from Bates.
5 riders still left in contention now. Bassoni, Dagan, Shandy, Coyston and Philip Bates. They are the riders left in the mix. And Bassoni is starting to struggle. She's 2 seconds down at the moment. It's 9 seconds, I think, back to Columbia and Co. And that means that we are seeing the selection being made here. And if this group go over the top as a 5, with 2 behind, it will give them numerical supremacy. However, as they go over the other side, it's about how much have they got left. Bates pressurizing. Fua and Coyson are going with them. If this is a group of 3 and the 2 behind pick up another rider coming from behind, that would equal it out. And remember, draft works best when you've got plenty of riders and plenty of riders to take turns on the front. At the moment, though, it's about power, and there's some massive power being put down here.
Well, there is indeed, and they've just got to treat this like the finish of the race. The top of this time, the polka dot banner, treat it like the finish, because then it's a long run and it's a downhill and flat run. But at the moment, it is Fua, Bates and Coinston. They've got a 7-second gap now on Bassoni and Manshandi. So 3 riders now clear in this Category 1 race. That is the polka dot banner they can see in front of them, signifying the top of the climb, with a 9-second gap back to the chasers. Can they stay clear?
Oh, it's going to be tight. It's going to be close. The time gaps are not huge behind, but this is the leading group. Bates, Coyston and Fua. Fua in the polka dot skin suit there as the leader of the mountains, the hills classification. And with the hills complete, she'll be riding in that to the finish. The chase here is coming from Madandega Mashandi. She's got Bassoni 1 second behind. Menenzies, though, at 12 seconds. And this descent is steep and it's incredibly quick. It's great when you come and ride this. I downloaded the latest update on to our devices, the 3.5.1. Make sure you do that if you're going out. Great updates on there, and went out and rode. This descent is absolutely brilliant. It's so quick.
Well, the pace had picked up to over 80 kph at that point in time. We've now just jumped in with the Category 4 leaders, the Category 2 leaders, and the Category 1 leaders. So Hyde is still down the road. So Georgina Hyde, who is leading the race on the road at the moment, our Category 4 leader. Now, Category 4 started first today. She is 17 seconds down the road. We've then got Embring, Hermansen and Prado, the 3 Category 2 leaders. Nikki Lloyd, the chaser in the Category 4 race, and Molly Weston, the leader in the Category 3 race together.
So this is a very difficult choice now. Real Hobson's choice for Georgina Hyde. Hyde has 2.2k to go to the finish. She has 13 seconds on a big group of riders behind, which includes the challenger for the top spot in Category 4. Nikki Lloyd is in with that group and working, and well she might, because this is her opportunity to pull back Hyde. You can see them coming behind.
If Hyde could turn her head over her shoulder at the moment, she would see them coming. It is going to be a matter of numbers here, completely and utterly. Hyde's heart rate is at 191.
Now, 2 options here. 1, push to the finish. Not my choice. 2, rest, recover. The rest of the riders in that group are working to get you back. That means that they're having to work, keep the pace reasonably high, but not so that you are empty, because you know that they are coming at speed. Look at the rate of catch here. We're at 11 seconds at the moment. Look, if you think about those numbers, this group are coming through underneath the archway and into the banners here on the outskirts of the city. This is no distance at all. And the problem is, if Hyde doesn't get some rest in, she's going to be absolutely on her knees as she gets caught.
And what's really interesting here, Matt, is if you take a look at the numbers coming out of this group, then they're rolling onto the front around 3, and then they're coming straight back off, because the category 2 riders, there's 4 of them in there. They are looking at each other because they know a 4-way sprint is coming up for the win. Molly Weston, category 3 leader. Nikki Lloyd, category 4 second place. Those 2 riders, well, Nikki Lloyd wants to make the catch, but none of those category 2 riders want to lead this group because they are looking at each other, which may lead Hyde enough time to stay clear to the finish.
And that gap has hardly come down. It's sitting still hovering at 9, 10, 11 seconds. We're coming up to 1K to go.
Yep.
And there's a point at which she's just going to have to go, do you know what? I've just got to go for this. And we're fast approaching it because the gap's now down at 8 seconds.
At some point,
it doesn't look like it's coming down much. We're not much at all.
At some point, these category 2 riders are going to go for it, and they are going to stop sitting up. And I've just seen Venberg go kick at 5 watts per kilo. So I think at some point in this last 800 meters, these category 2 riders have got to really wind this up to take the win. Will Georgina Hyde stay clear? She's got 600 meters to go.
So 600 meters to go. The finishing line is around the right-hand bend that's coming up the long straight, right round the turn, and we are there now. Hyde is leading behind her. So 7 seconds is the gap. Now 6 seconds. It's yo-yoing a little bit. Venberg is leading this through at 7.5 watts per kilo. She wants to take the victory, and it looks like Nikki Lloyd has not gone with her. The gap has opened up behind Venberg. It's not huge, but she's going to come on to Hyde. Hyde is going to get swept away in the last few hundred meters, but will she hold on for the category 4 win? They're going to come around the turn. Hermansen leading this out from Venberg and Prado. And at the moment, it's going to be Lisa Hermansen who's going to take the victory here on Qualifier 1. Hermansen, your winner here, Qualifier 1 on the Sunday Race Club.
Well, that was category 2 that came over the line first. Georgina Hyde taking the win in category 4, and Molly Weston taking the win in category 3. Nikki Lloyd coming through for second place in that category 4 race, as we jump back to take a look at what is happening in category 1.
And category 1, and so we have in here, well, you got to remember here, really key, Lou Bates is in the yellow jersey. We have the polka dot skin suit here, and that is, of course, of Catherine Fuhr. And we also have in this group, I think it's Mina Koistinen, who is tucked in this group in the yellow. So 2 yellow riders, 1 rider in the polka dot skin suit, who are fighting it out for the category 1 top prize of 10,000 AED here today. It's all about the run for the line, and it's a fair way to go here, Emma. 1.5 kilometers. Is anybody going to go for a long one? I think they're clear. I can't see them being caught. The gap behind is too big.
Yeah, the gap behind now around 20 seconds. Well, actually, I say that, around 12 seconds to Manshandi. They can't sit on their laurels and think this is it at all, because there is still 1.3 kilometres to go. Manshandi is no slouch.
But the downside for Manshandi, I think, here is that in this group, these 3 riders know that they want to keep pushing, that they need to keep pushing. They're going to be pretty switched on with that. They have the numerical advantage. It's not where we had it the other way around, 1 leader 10 seconds back a group. This is a group, and then it's back to Manshandi.
And what's really interesting is they are pretty much moving at the same pace. Manshandi on her own, currently sitting at just shy of, around 4.2 watts per kilo. The group ahead not doing that, but moving at the same pace because of the group.
Yeah, the numbers are basically, Manshandi's, look at this, 38, 39 kilometres an hour. It's hardly varying for Manshandi. You look at the speed in the pack, it's yo-yoing as the riders are coming through the group. And although the numbers you say, Emma, are less, the speed is generally between 38 and about 41. And it's that fractions. It's just, I think, going to be just too much for Manshandi to come back now. 3 riders, and Fuhr starts to squeeze here, 4.2. I'm not sure. I wouldn't want to put a big squeeze in just to
Well,
try and open this up. And I'll tell you who's gone. It's Mina Koivunen who's gone.
500 metres to go, and Koivunen kicks Fua's in too. Fua's gone at 13 watts per kilo from Fua. Lou Bates now responding as well, but it's Catherine Fua with a monstrous kick through and past Mina Koivunen as Koivunen responds and comes up onto her wheel. Has Koivunen got the timing of this right, or can Fua respond? Fua kicks. She's gone over the top of Koivunen. It is neck and neck. But I think that is Catherine Fua from Mina Koivunen from Lou Bates.
It is 300ths of a second separating our race winner from second place. Catherine Fua taking the win from Mina Koivunen in 2, Lou Bates in 3. It's going to be a fine 4th place up for Madana Dagan Mishandi here today as she comes in over the line ahead of Roberta Bassoni. Bassoni should be our rider who's going to come through for 5th place. Behind, though, this is a big kick coming in, and I think Jessica Menezes is the rider who has a slight gap on Velt. Velt is coming. They all want those places. Bassoni goes over the line in 5. So this is 4th, 6th place. Justinian Menezes continues to push all the way to the line for 6th, and then it's going to be Velt in 7 as these riders continue through the line in the top 10 of a category number 1. What great racing here today, all the way into the line. And your confirmed leaders coming through. You can just see Lisa Hermansen confirmed as the winner of category 2. But in category 1, it's Fua in 1, Koivunen in 2, Bates in 3, Mishandi in 4, Bassoni in 5, Menezes in 6, Velt in 7, and Columbi in 8. And the riders coming through sub 1 hour. They're very quick today out on the course here on the Sunday Race Club. Emma, absolutely cracking racing here today in Belgium. It never disappoints as a race route.
It doesn't. I love this race route. It is absolutely fantastic, whether our women are here or our men.
Definitely a great race. And speaking of the men, we've got them coming up immediately after, so please do make sure you tune in for that. Emma and myself will be back. A quick refuel ready to go for that. My name's Matt Payne. It's been a pleasure putting words to the action. Here in the studio with me is, of course, Emma Martin. We can follow you on Instagram, and if the teams want to get in touch, you look forward to that.
Please do.
So please get in touch with Emma, get in touch with myself. Don't forget to follow MyWhoosh on Facebook, on Instagram. It's my_whoosh on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. But even better, jump on board your bike, download the latest update, the latest one which gives you all of those companion bot racing, and make sure that you come in and join us down on the Sunday Race Club next week. But from myself, Matt Payne, from Emma, and from all of the team at MyWhoosh, stay safe. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.